All right, here we are in a quarterfinal matchup in the Alpha Navigators Cup number 26. And this matchup's going to star jayxp123 in the Blue Vanguard versus his Red Infernal opponent, msrm. And we're spawning here on Broken Crown, and we see the puppy dog has already made its way in, and it sees that there is a conclave opening for msrm. And it looks like the Hexen possibly has already stolen that cabbage, so the scout can't get it. This one's also been stolen. And the scout's already headed back, and the Hexen's doing some strange kind of wandering over here for msrm. He's just out eating a bunch of cabbages. I haven't seen that. I mean, I've seen Hexen play, stealing them from each other. I've seen them, try and steal them from dogs. I've never really seen the Hexen go all the way out on the map and try and steal as many of them as possible. So msrm does like to showcase sort of some interesting choices, and I think he likes to push forward the meta a little bit in certain areas, and maybe that's something we'll see out of more Infernal in the future. Now here's the scout trying to attack the imp that I guess is, a farm here. I was like, either that or maybe a vault. And the Gaunts have joined the Hexen here to do the high ground creeping of these. Now the scout goes out onto the map and finds one of the healing flowers that was not taken by msrm's Hexen, and is able to come back. Or I think, okay, so in that case, he's just peeking at the health camp to see if msrm was creeping there, but no, msrm was creeping from the high ground. Ooh, and he did the trick where, with the last Shadow Mastiff, he cast a skull, which allowed to get him a fiend. You do that on the last one, so that the fiend doesn't get focused down by the Shadow Mastiffs while you're creeping on the high ground with that trick. Now, the Fiend's just trying to do some scouting over here because the Hexen didn't actually get into the base. She was out eating cabbages earlier. And so the Fiend saw what it needed to. Ooh, almost going to get chomped down here by the dog, and indeed it does. The lightning legs on the dog make it fast enough to catch the Fiend. It's usually the other way around. And msrm is moving back into his base, being a little bit more defensive here at the moment. Remember, the speed camp has been taken by the dogs, so this is a semi-dangerous push, although there's only 2 units. Here comes another Lancer. I think the Gaunts can probably take this at the moment, although they might take some losses. Now that there's a third Lancer here, this is starting to get dangerous for the Gaunts, but there's some splits here. The weak Gaunts get pulled back, and the healing cabbage gets eaten by one of the Gaunts. And then these Gaunts are trying to retreat from the Lancers. Well, these other ones, I'm not sure. They're maybe trying to get a flank. The weak ones are back in the base now. And they're going to try and focus fire this one isolated Lancer over here. Still only getting it down to about a quarter of life before these Lancers come to reinforce, and they get on top of the Gaunts. And even though they're not really getting splash on them right now, due to some good splits, we see almost all of them go down. Here are some fresh new Gaunts from msrm with full shroud skin. And that was enough to suggest to jayxp, maybe you should run back home. And I was like, I thought there was one really low, one low Lancer that maybe got taken out, but that Lancer looks like it survived. It's at 5 hit points. It's not regenerating at the moment because jayxp has not taken any healing camps, although I think we might see him do that, although his Lancers probably spotted that there was a dropship, and the dropship spotted the Lancers. We see some promotes going down on the Lancers, some more Lancers showing up, and interesting to drop there. It reduces the surface area, but it did put the Gaunts in a vulnerable position for the Lancers' line-based splash attack. And these Lancers are running right up into the main. They're trying to get more Imp kills. And here they are right in the Imp line. Some pretty good splits while 4 Imps split out. A couple more escape. The Lancers are trying to focus fire a few of the split Imps, but of course that minimizes their damage. So they cannot hit a bunch of Imps all at the same time. But now there's a bunch of Imps sitting right there. A number of them get taken out as well as the Gaunt. And these Lancers are just very tanky, and that's part of the idea behind this push. And msrm immediately loads up his Harbinger with the Gaunts. And we see, okay, there are 10 Imps here. There are 4 Imps here, so that's only 14 Imps. That's not great. But he's hoping to return the favor here. And he sees that there is a buzzsaw cannon already in the mineral line here. It is not a flak cannon, so it doesn't hit air. And instead drops into the production. I think that was just to take out the other sentry post before it was finished. And now again, buzzsaw cannons in both lines. So this drop is not going to do anything. Maybe if he gets on the edge here. So he can target the units from the edge here. One Gaunt getting targeted. So not really effective with the return favor of the Gaunt drops. But persistent. Not trying to get in the range of any of those buzzsaw cannons. He might still be able to get some damage done. Target the production buildings. Maybe target the command post. This is actually a central command here. Central command was upgraded on the natural instead of in the main. Oh, one reason you might do that is you do get added hit points, which makes that base a little bit more resilient. However, it also means that if that base does get taken out, of course, you lose your central command or high command if you've upgraded to tier 3. And it's very rare for folks to upgrade more than one building. You don't get any benefit from that other than insurance. So we see the Gaunt drop still trying to be a little bit aggressive here. They're taking, picking off whatever damage they can, and I imagine that msrm is just using this to try and keep JXP back a bit. After taking some damage from those Lancers, he needs to recover, killing one Bob here. Now we see the Lancer a little bit out of position. Just taking one volley of the Plague Axes. Probably will be fine. Now behind this, msrm has gone and taken a third base. And we see a ton of beans here. And a smaller sort of ground force. Ooh, and the ground force is getting larger as a Weaver is added and some more Brutes and Gaunts. And the drop here looks like it's being chased away as this army is starting to move out. And we see it's just Exos and Lancers. No medtechs yet in this one. And let's see here. I don't see quick draw hustle for the Lancer or for the Exos. That might be on the way, and maybe this is a timing that... There we go. Quick draw hustle just finished as he made it into the base. So that was a very well-timed attack. But it looks like msrm has macro behind this, and we see there are Spriggans out now as well. One mag that can do really well against these Lancers. And for the moment has not yet been focused down. It can get focused by the Exos, but the Exos, unfortunately, some of them get zoned away. And msrm's forces now are fully chasing these retreating bio. A few more units show up, but I think that Meg is still very high in health and continues to threaten the Lancers. The lone Spriggan up above there, but again, these Exos in full retreat, and I don't think they're going to be able to find what they need to push this army back. They've almost retreated all the way into their base, And there's only so much you can stutter step the Exos. We see a lash on one of the Exos. We're only down to 6 Exos left. And msrm turns to this third base, targets down some Bobs while we see jayxp moves his units down to the low ground here, trying to engage these trickling in Gaunts, trying to get the damage that he can in an efficient group, and now bringing those Lancers down on top of the Gaunts, but focusing the Brute there. If they had instead attacked the Gaunts, they would get the benefit of their splash as they're doing now, and we see the Gaunts are getting shredded. And now it's just a lone Weaver, which I believe did teleport away, yes. And the Spriggans are in retreat. This one Gaunt said, hey, wait for me. I survived. I'm the lone survivor of that attack. Could have taken me home. The Sprigs are back out. They got the lightning wings. And they're on top of this. They're going to focus down all the Exos they can. And then it's free reign on these Lancers. Now that there's no more Exos, they can just come deny this base. And we see those Lancers decided to turn and say, fine, I'm going to try and bring you back to your base. If you're going to use this Air Force, then come do it while I'm attacking your base, killing your buildings. But for the moment, the Spriggans have remained here. There's now a flat cannon with full repair. Can they out DPS it? Yes, they can, and the Lancers have just arrived here. Let's see what kind of damage they can do. They're going to march right past these Fellhawks and Shroud Stones. We have some of them focusing on the Imps here, then turning to fight the Shroud Stone. And unfortunately, these Lancers look like they are going to get cleaned up here. So the counterattack is not necessarily going to work out, as these Spriggans are just standing over the production here and picking off Exos, and that's going to be GG from jayxp in game number 1. Okay, here we are in game number 2, and this is going to be jayxp in the blue Vanguard. Hoping to take game number 2 so he can force the third game, sending his pup across the map as he's hoping to scout out his opponent here, msrm in the Red Infernal, who has sent in Imp out. Last match he opened Conclave, but this is a build that I've seen from him more in almost every matchup, which is Shrine First. And now we see the Hexen just teleporting, you know, a few steps back so that she doesn't take any more damage from the dog. This is a safe zone because there's the Imps there, and if the dog really wants to get on top of her, the Imps can turn in and protect her. And here comes the dog. We see a Conclave just going down. And he takes one more bite from her and a few more shots, and then heads back out. Now Jay's got a Rax. No depot or no habitat yet. We do see one Bob has come and chopped down the woods back here, and that might be to go plan to do an expo, although we see these Bobs heading out here maybe to build. I'm not sure. Where are they going? They aren't overcharged. Often you would overcharge them if you were going to build an expo. This is a lot of Bobs that have been pulled here. And it's Lancers. But what we see here is there are, 6 Bobs plus the Lancer. What do we have here? Our dog. Okay. So what's going to happen here is these 6 Bobs are going to build a sentry post. Now this is an interesting location. I really like this. They're going to build a sentry post, and then the Lancer is going to get inside that sentry post, and then they are going to probably attack these workers or this base. So now we see the Bobs are here. Here they come. Sure enough, it's a sentry post. They're going to speed build it. The dog and the Lancer are going to get on top of this Imp to try and get some kills. And here they are now attacking the Gaunts. And ooh, I was going to say they did get one Gaunt, but no, okay. Come on, Lancer, you need to get in your camp here. You don't want to be fighting out here with all these Gaunts and Hexen. Oh no. Buddy. Buddy. Oh, that is not how it was supposed to go. It was not supposed to go that way. And there are now Bobs going down. They might not be able to get the sentry post down. The sentry post, of course, is still attacking. It's now turned into a repair turret. And another Lancer has showed up, so now the Buzzsaw Cannon is out. Okay, this was the plan. And in fact, if they swap that out, they can put a Bob in there and actually have a repair turret as well. But it looks like msrm said, hey, I don't mind you killing my base. I'm creeping. And that might be for income, or maybe just the lightning legs. And unfortunately, this base goes down. We do have a Shroud Stone here, but the bunkers are up, and the Bobs are, what, going home? Or they're going to expo their own? I'm not sure here. 2 Lancers into the main. That's 1 imp down already. A couple imps. They just turned to fight. That's probably not what you want to do, although with some splits, it could be alright. But again, with Micro from jayxp, he can line them up and get a lot of imps at the same time. A couple of Gaunts have joined, and so now the imps are kind of the meat shield for the Gaunts. And they take out both of those Lancers. And now the Gaunts actually find this next Lancer. He's like, I've come to finish the job that my buddy failed to do. The imps turn to fight. Ooh, some Lightning Legs Fiends come in. I think 1 or 2 more Gaunts, or sorry, imps went down there. One of these imps is deciding not to work. Come on, buddy. We know it was a traumatic experience, those Lancers, but get back to work. And off he goes. So good to see. Now, over here, it looks like the Gaunts did clean up the bunkers, but we are on 1 base. Another Lancer comes strolling in. Now this is not likely to do anything. And sure enough, this Lancer, this is a Scout Lancer, I imagine. You could build a Scout, but you could also just build a Lancer. Run him in the back. Hoping the trees were open there as a back door, and finding, nope. Those trees have not yet been chopped down. And, okay, so jayxp is on his 2nd base, but he hasn't added any production yet. And what's this? A sentry post. Now remember, he did pull all his Bobs at the beginning, almost all of them, which meant that he was behind in production despite pulling off that bunker rush and killing the shrine. That only really kind of put them at equal because he pulled his Bobs to get that. And now we see the Gaunt drop that wasn't able to do damage last game is actually doing what it's supposed to, and that's GG out of jayxp, and that means msrm is going to go on to the semifinals.